But do you have any supernatural experiences?
Mm-hmm.
You do? All right.
You do.
Do you mind sharing it?
I have two.
Okay.
Oh.
I've got to figure out which. I'll share you the one that's funnier, I think.
I've made a video about ghosts before where I kind of explained everything with sleep paralysis and hallucinations because it was explainable, like I can do anything with that. It was logically explainable, but there are things that are not explainable, and I mean, I want to believe in ghosts as much as the next guy because it would be an interesting world and sometimes a more nice world. But I just need personal experience. That would be the best, right? But I mean, the next best is personal experience of the people who you kind of trust, that they don't lie about it. And that's what we will do today. I have a story which is quite maybe convincing for me at least, because it's a story from not someone unknown. I mean, from the family or something. And I mean, other people have stories that are not explainable with hallucinations and everything like that. So that's cool. And so there are stories like Jordan Peterson's, which is quite interesting. Who is a professor and writes books and stuff, and is not even closely never heard him talk about not UFOs, but ghosts. And so I think the most convincing is when someone who is not really into ghosts have a personal story that he can tell, and it's not close to sleep, okay? Because if it's close to sleep, then I'm sorry, but it's not reliable. Like, it's sleep paralysis. It's always sleep paralysis. So yeah, let's check out some of these very, very nice, very interesting, reliable stories from people who experienced personally ghost stories.
Yes, if they have ghost stories, supernatural experiences, UFO sightings, anything like that. You don't need to get too deep, and if you don't, you can say no. That's perfectly fine. But do you have any supernatural experiences?
Mm-hmm.
You do? All right.
You do.
Do you mind sharing it?
I have two.
Okay.
Oh.
I've got to figure out which. I'll share you the one that's funnier, I think. And then right next door to the lobby, there was this huge restaurant that probably sat 300-400 people. Really big restaurant. And there was no people in there. No staff, no people. That's weird. I went into my room. It was kind of ratty, but it was okay. Put my computer on the bed, put my luggage on the bed, and called my graduate student and went out to have some barbecue. So that's fine. So then I came back and got into my room, and my graduate student came along. I walked in, and all the drawers in the cabinets were open. And not just a little bit open, like completely open. But my computer was still on the bed, and so was the luggage. And I thought, well, that's weird. I didn't open those damn drawers. And if someone came in here to steal something, why didn't they take the computer? That'd be the logical thing to do. So we closed all the drawers, and then we thought, well, maybe a big truck went by, and that's a pretty stupid hypothesis, but we couldn't think of anything else. So we kind of shook the cabinet to see if it...
I actually have a story like this kind of where I kind of had the same thing with a picture where, I mean, my girlfriend was home alone. Oh my god, home alone, yeah. So my girlfriend was home alone, and there was this picture up here, there was a shelf here, and I mean, she felt like weird. She was in the kitchen, and she felt kind of weird, and like someone was here and called some of her relatives to kind of just talk while she's home alone and feeling like weird, and then the picture of me and her, which was on this shelf here, just fell down, and there was a table here, and it fell in a way to a place which was not that easily replicatable. So I mean, I after I came home, I tried to kind of replicate it by just pushing it, and it was kind of it was, I mean, it was possible, but it was hard to replicate. And yeah, I mean, she was pretty scared because she felt weird, and then this happened. And the more scary thing that it was the picture of us, which is kind of personal, and it happens in movies and stuff. So I also tried to kind of replicate it and say like, yeah, a truck drove by, and that's why, or a plane float. So a plane did fly near the house, and maybe it was shaking the house, and it fell off, or some window was open, which she said that it wasn't, and that's why. So I mean, yeah, weird things happen, and I mean, this is kind of weird, right? But yeah.
Get the doors to open. We'd shut all the drawers, and when we turned around, the damn drawer on the desk was open again. So we shut that. So
I mean, that's weird. While they are still in there, another drawer just opens. That's weird. That's not sleep paralysis, is it? And that's what I like about this story, that, I mean, he is reliable and he's not into ghosts, and these kind of things happen to him. I mean, one time maybe, or two times as he said, but that's cool.
So I had opened, the drawer was open in the middle little cabinet between the beds too, and there was a Gideon Bible in there, and it was open, and it was open to the line that says, Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. And I thought, well, that was pretty interesting. I closed that, closed the door, and my graduates, we talked.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty interesting. A Bible open in the drawer, talking about death. A very interesting fact about the church and stuff is that until recently they had official people who are trained to get the devil out of the people, get the ghosts or demons out of people. You know, these, not ghost hunters, but you know what I'm talking about, when they go in with a cross and say like, in the name of Jesus, get out of that body and say your name, demon, and stuff like that. So they had those people trained, which is very interesting, right? It gives legitimacy to all the demon stories and stuff. But at the same time, I mean, church always had, I mean, the church believed that this was true. So I mean, of course they had these kind of people. It's just weird that they had them until recently too. I mean, so in the 2000s as well they had them, and yeah. But yeah, I mean, they burned witches. They burned witches as well in the past. So I mean, yeah, that doesn't mean much. They burned witches like, oh, there's a woman who can read, you are a witch. So yeah, but it's just interesting. Yeah.
Talked for a while. Graduate student left, and I thought, I didn't really think much of it. I thought it was weird, you know, but
Right.
whatever, it was weird. So then I went to sleep. In the middle of the night, I woke up and I thought, you know, that wasn't just weird. That was really weird. It was like someone was in my room, right? Because otherwise, why were the drawers open? And why were they open? Like, what's going on?
And the Bible was open.
Well, and so the next morning, I went downstairs to this girl, black girl, behind the counter, and I walked up and I said, look, I don't want to alarm you, but I went out last night, and when I came back into my room, all the drawers were open. I think someone was in my room. And she said, I don't want to alarm you,
God.
but we know this place is haunted, and I always come to work with a baseball bat. And I thought, oh, well, of all the responses I thought I would get,
Is that more
ranked-
terrifying?
Well, it was just, it was surreal, right? And it was like a movie moment. It was ridiculous. So I went and talked to my graduate advisor, an older guy who had been in the hotel, and he said that the night before he had taken a shower, and when he came out, there were 2 drawers open in his room, and so
These damn drawer opening.
yeah.
doors.
Okay, but
That's pretty convincing, right? From Jordan Peterson, he's not the kind of ghost guy, and he has this story, and it's interesting. And what the woman at the service service desk said, like, I don't want to alarm you, but I come to work with a baseball bat. I mean, that's something I would like to hear her stories as well, because I mean, interesting choice, right? Like, baseball bat against ghost. Let's hear the next one.
Have any ghost stories, any paranormal
Yes.
stories, UFO, alien sightings?
I was staying up in a house up in the mountains. So I'm sitting there. I think it was Friday or Saturday night. I get back from school. I think it was the next day, Saturday night. I'm sitting there. It's about 1:32 in the morning. I'm laying in bed. All of a sudden, the phone rings, and it's a big house. So when it rings, it's like echoes, reverbs, right? I'm like, what the? No one calls, right? So I go up there. I answer. No one's on the phone. It's just, okay, what the hell is this, you know? I go back to my bed. He had automatic lights for the driveway. I go back to the bed, and the window, the bed where I was staying at this room, this window is where you can see the driveway. And right when I lay down, boop, light goes on, right? So then I'm like, okay, this is kind of getting crazy.
Yeah.
Let me just go to the bedroom door and close it. I close it, and no joke, after I close it, I'm walking to the bed. I hear, like, running down the hall. And I'm like, okay, this is nuts. I'm going to bed. Like,
How long ago was this?
this was, I got chills thinking
Yeah,
about it.
When you are sleepy, I mean, it gives me the chills, but when you are sleepy and you are close to sleep and maybe you're tired or you drunk some alcohol or something, that makes the story a bit less like, whoa. I mean, it still wasn't close to sleeping that much, but when you are getting close to it, then yeah, you are more likely to hallucinate and hear stuff, and like, even if you are awake still. But yeah.
This was in 2005.
Okay, so it's quite a bit ago.
Yeah.
You were a bit of a younger doc back then.
The final piece of the puzzle, I went to bed. I shut it down, right? Like, just don't even worry about it. Get in bed, put the pillow over the head. Like, let's just call it a night, right? Let's just forget about this.
Right.
I wake up in the morning. I walk down the hall. He's got this big, huge kitchen, beautiful big kitchen. All the cabinet doors are open.
Oh my
fuck?
god.
All
Again, the door, the cabinet doors. It was the same ghost as with Jordan Peterson. I mean, this is legit. they just love drawers.
All of them are open.
Some
What?
poltergeist shit.
Yeah. And that was my experience at that
Whoa.
place. I told him I didn't experience anything else after that, like anything that was weird or any of that stuff, but
Why does this not happen to me? Why? I would love that. Ghost, if you are here in the house, just open some drawers, please. I mean, that's not too big thing to ask. I mean, I heard you love them, right? Just open the fucking drawers. Open them. See? I have no luck with this shit. But yeah. So next stop with the investigator A3 is Shane Dawson. I don't know how reliable he is. I mean, I fully believe that Dr. Disrespect wasn't lying. I fully believe that Jordan Peterson wasn't lying. I don't know about Shane Dawson. I mean, he's also famous and stuff, but I don't really, I don't know how he's like or what he's like. But yeah. The other two is chilly because it wasn't really that near sleeping, and Jordan Peterson definitely wasn't, and it was weird, and the service girl found it as well weird, and that's why she went to work with a fucking baseball bat.
So my boyfriend is like you, very skeptical, and every time we've done something ghost hunty, he has a crazy experience. And it's almost like he fucking forgets it the next day. Like he'll hear a voice, something will happen, something will touch him, and whatever. And he's freaked out in the moment. Then the next day he's like, oh, I don't know, maybe it was just like the fucking wind or something. I'm like, we have it on camera. So I think if you're a skeptical person, nothing will really change that. Maybe for me,
Not true. If something like that would happen to me, which is not close to sleep because I had quite a bunch of sleep paralysis now. If something like that would happen to me and I'm not in the bed preparing to sleep, then I mean I want to believe and it would change. I would try to logically explain it, but I would say yeah, but I mean, which is more likely? Like, more likely is that this unlikely thing happened and the ghost was here, or this, that I won the lottery or something. So I mean, if the chances are right, I mean, I would want to believe. It's just hard to believe. But, yeah.
me, I used to be skeptical, and then when I was 11, I was laying in my bed, and I felt like
I was laying in my bed. No, that's not a good story then.
fingers on my back, like one of these, and I heard "Happy Birthday," and I thought it was just my mom.
Sleep paralysis. I don't care, or hallucination. Hearing a voice very clearly, feeling stuff, feeling your body do weird things, even though, I mean, so anything. Basically, your mind is capable of so many impossible things. Like, if we didn't know that sleep paralysis existed, we would 100% think that it's ghosts, because it's very real, it's scary as hell, and the creatures that appear are very creatively formed, like fucking scary. And I think that this is where all these ghost stories and demon stories come from, that people just didn't know what sleep paralysis was, and they just thought, okay, it's a ghost. I saw a ghost. The demon was sitting on my chest and I couldn't breathe, and so I mean, if you are close to sleep, then that's not a ghost story. Although, yeah, you could say that, yeah, we know that sleep paralysis is this thing that happens when you dream and stuff, and then you hallucinate things because this is how it is. You could say that, okay, we know what it is, but it could still be that you're more susceptible, if that's a word. So you're more aware of this ghost dimension when you're close to sleep, and those are not really hallucinations, but actual ghost and actual demon and stuff. So you could say that, but I mean, that wouldn't convince me. But yeah, you could say that, but yeah, if you are close to sleep, that's not a ghost story, that's a sleep paralysis story. That's what I would say.
So then, like,
Was it your birthday?
yeah, and I had
Okay.
like a really bad birthday, and I was sad, whatever. So I thought it was just my mom, and then I turn over and there's nobody there. And I was
Yikes.
like, whoa. So I run into my mom's room, and at the time, my mom's really religious. At the time, my mom's like, oh, honey, that was just your guardian angel. She knew you had a bad day or whatever. So at the time, I was like, okay, Mom, love the Bible, yeah. Later on in life, I'm like, wait a minute.
That's weird.
fucked. That was a
Yeah.
demon.
Yeah.
That's something fucked up.
Yeah.
And then when I was 22 or something,
You can see in his eyes, like,
Yeah.
yeah. He wants to say that was sleep paralysis. That was sleep paralysis, okay? But he doesn't.
and then when I was
Yeah.
22 or something, my grandma died like a week prior, and then I was sad, and I looked up. It was like 11 p.m. watching Friends. I look over, and my grandma's standing in my closet, like right there.
You just saw your grandma
Yes.
full form
Yes,
staring.
yes, like standing there
Did
in
she
my
look
closet.
like
What was the vibe?
She
like
was
a-
wearing a purple robe.
Was
She
it-
always wore.
I mean, that's interesting because that's a story that I hear. I mean, I heard a couple of times that when people's close relatives die, then they have experiences like this. And maybe I would say that as I said, your mind is capable of impossible things. I mean, your mind is capable of managing multiple personalities, like when you're schizophrenic. In your body, mind is capable to make up whole worlds, which whole characters when you're awake and you can see and hallucinate stuff if something is not right in your mind. So when something like that happens, then you are in shock, and your mind is like making, maybe, I don't know, maybe your mind makes up stuff like that, and I mean, I could kind of logically say that, but if something like that would happen to me, then I mean, I would again jump to the 50-50 thing that yeah, maybe it was real, because I mean, I would then see why a ghost would like to communicate with me, because someone just died and wants to take up connection with me and maybe say that everything will be okay and stuff. And in dreams that happened to me, but not like this, like I seeing someone in the closet or something. But yeah.
Or was it like a friendly visitation?
It was like, it was dark in my room because I was watching TV at night. And when I looked over, she was standing there, and it was a little dark, but I still completely saw her and her face, and she was just kind of blank-faced, and I like froze, and I didn't know what to do. And have you ever like thought something bad was happening, and you just freeze, and you don't know what to do, and you're shaking? So
Sure.
I did that, and then I got enough energy to run out of the room. I like threw
You were
up.
staring for a long time.
It felt like an hour, but it was probably like, 10 seconds or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was just like at this, and then I ran out of the room, like barfed, like it was like really fucked up and intense. My brother ran, my mom, they met me in the hallway, and the craziest part was, my brother goes, "Did you see Grandma?"
What?
And I was like, and he's like 27 at the time.
Dude, I seriously
What?
got chill. I
Yeah.
never experienced anything like that.
Why did he ask that?
I was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. He goes, because right before you started screaming, he's like, I could feel her, and he had her coffee table in his room, and he's like, and I looked down at the coffee table, and like, I just like saw what I thought was her in the glass of it. And then my mom was like, I smelled her, because she wore the same perfume all the time. Like, we all had the same experience at the same moment, which is crazy because my brother's a total skeptic, but he's like,
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said, like, now it's interesting when more people kind of saw, heard, smelled, felt the same thing at the same time. I mean, now it's more interesting, right? And that's another thing that I heard from closer people to me, that they felt the presence, and that's again not at all reliable. Like, okay, I felt it because people have feelings and stuff. But when people like experience the same thing at the same time, now it's interesting. Now it's actually interesting.
like I fucking saw her.
Was your grandma a very big part of your life up
Yeah.
until then?
She pretty much raised me, yeah. My mom was working a lot.
Interesting.
So my grandma was...
So she lived with you guys.
Well, this is the most fucked up part. So we go back to my bedroom. We're all holding hands. My mom's crying. Like, we would like walk in, and they're like, "Where did you see her?" And I pointed, and my brother goes, "Dude, look what the fuck you're pointing at." I was pointing at her purple robe that she wore every day, because that's the one thing I kept when she died. Because like, I just wanted to remember her, and it was hanging in my closet. She was standing right in front of it, in it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the most fucked up part. That's like, that makes the whole thing a little bit less interesting. I mean, his brother, who was skeptical, he didn't say it like, "Oh my god, look at what you're pointing at." Like, as I see it, he said that, "Look what the fuck you're pointing at, dude. That's just the purple like t-shirt or clothes that she had. Look what you're pointing at. It is it is just the clothes in the closet." I mean, yeah, okay. And he said that he saw her and all that, but I mean, like, what can I say? Now it's, yeah, alright, I would move this story into the trash. Maybe not fully, because other people experience stuff as well, but yeah. So there is this girl who I included in my last video. I mean, she had an impressive story where the whole family was like together experiencing stuff, and even if it was mostly close to sleep and stuff, that's interesting. Although sleep paralysis is more likely in a family where one has it, maybe the other has it, and maybe if you're all freaked out because some stuff happened, and I mean what what his father experienced was clearly sleep paralysis, and they clearly didn't know about this experience, that it exists, because it is very obvious that it was, and so I mean it was mostly explainable by that, but it was interesting because really the whole family experienced it and stuff, and yeah, and so she has another ghost story. Part 2 includes real photos, videos, so I mean, let's check out.
On day 1, we checked in, left our luggage.
So they are basically in a hotel with his boyfriend or husband, I don't know, and creepy things happen, at least until now.
In the room
That's what
and
she
went
said.
straight out. The first night is when we noticed something kind of weird was going on. So we went to bed, and when we went to bed we could hear, so the room to the bathroom was at the end of the bed. It sounded like there was someone in the bathroom moving around, but we knew there was no one in the room. At the same time, when we put the light out, it felt like there was someone staring at you, and it was really weird. It made it really, really difficult to sleep. And I would always liken that kind of feeling if you, I know some of you.
Sleep paralysis, when, I mean, you feel the presence of this demonic thing, even if you don't see it. That's very basic sleep paralysis experience. It happens not all the time, but many times, and you can listen to sleep paralysis stories. Even maybe I have one in English and a couple more in Hungarian as well on the channel, but it's all the same. It's like that, like.
You said you'd experienced that, but if you haven't, it feels exactly like that when the hairs go up on the back of your neck as a human. Let's say you're walking along and someone's following you, you know. The next morning.
Bullshit, you don't know, like. I mean, that's the feeling that you get when you're afraid, and you walk alone on the street at night alone. After watching a horror film in the cinema, happened to me, I watched Paranormal Activity, it was fucking scary, and then I walked home alone, and it was scary. I was like, what the fuck? I was looking behind and I was like, I see you. I even don't know one was there, and I didn't see anyone. I was just like, you know, I see you. but so that was scary, and then I felt like someone was there, and maybe someone was there, but maybe it was just because I was scared after watching the movie in the cinema, so I don't know.
It was so bad we asked to be moved to another room. I didn't tell reception what the problem was. The bathroom was really nice. These pictures do make it look really dated, but you know, it was like 10 years ago. Again, we put our stuff in the room first thing in the morning and we went straight out. When we got back to this room at the end of the first day, we got back quite early, as I remember, because we were really tired from the night before and not sleeping the night before. So we thought, right, we're gonna go and have an early night's sleep and then wake up fresh for the rest of the trip. The second room we were in didn't feel like the first one. It didn't feel like there was anyone in it, but...
So they were very tired and they went to sleep, and yeah, that's again, when you're very tired, it's very likely or more likely to have a sleep paralysis or hallucinate while falling asleep. and it's more likely that you experience it very fast. Like you lay down and it starts immediately. I mean, at least this is how it is with me.
When I was in that room, I had like it's really weird. There was this heavy.
I mean, are these the photos? Like the title says real photos, and are these the photos like from the hotel or right? Like, where are the photos? Is this the creepy photos, real photos, or
sense of anxiety?
I guess it is.
And like proper sick in the pit of your stomach, like anxiety. And I remember that vividly, but I also remember in the room, you know, the tea and coffee facilities, I remember drinking loads of peppermint tea because I thought it was me. I thought maybe I had a stomach upset, but then whenever I'd left the room and we went out in the day, I'd say to David, oh, it's really weird, like I feel fine, I can go and eat lunch and stuff, but when I get back to that room, I feel really, really sick and really stressed, like I don't want to be in it. So we've gone to bed.
So maybe you feel anxiety and stress, and then it hurts in your stomach because you don't want to be in the room, because you're afraid, because you just changed rooms because of some ghosts, right? So maybe that has something to do with it, doesn't it? Like feeling that something is like feeling fear is not I mean that doesn't make a good ghost story. Like, of course, you feel fear. That's not a ghost. That you're just in fear because you watched some horror movie or you thought you heard something.
David fell asleep. I didn't sleep in that room the whole time we were there. Now, on the first night, I didn't think this was anything connected to anything, but in the early hours of the morning, there was quite a loud sound of people in the corridors. Loud voices, not audible, you couldn't hear what they were saying or anything, but it was loud voices, and I thought that it was people that had come home late from, you know, a bar or something like that. And I remember it going on for quite a while. Third night, neither of us could sleep. It was still this kind of anxious feeling that you didn't have when you weren't in the room. And by this point, David kind of agreed with it, and we thought we'd eaten something funny, but then we both agreed that, hey, when we went out, why do we feel okay? On that third night, we heard again the people in the corridor. This is the thing, they're staying on a constant volume.
So they went on a tour in the hotel corridors and tried to search for the sound which they still heard while being awake. Yeah, but they didn't sleep for like 2 nights, so I mean they were pretty tired, and they were pretty susceptible to hallucinations at that point, I would say. But there was 2 of them, and yeah.
It's not like you turn a corner and they get louder, but we couldn't catch up with them basically, and we tried 2 different floors.
And as well in a hotel, hearing people talk. Yeah,
because we could hear them on.
It's not the biggest story, but okay.
2 different floors, but we couldn't track it down. On the final day, we left our luggage with reception. We went out for the final day. By the final day, we didn't stay in the town the whole final day because we were shattered. We sat on a bench.
So this was the story. Like, they were shattered because they felt like something was in the room and heard like people in the hotel talking. Is this the whole story? Like, I mean, in her other story, there were like stuff that were opening. The dog was, or the cat, I don't know, was like freaked out, and the stuff was in different places, and so everyone in the family experienced and heard stuff, and it was very scary and stuff. And I mean, that was not a bad story, I would say, and that was a nice story and not like fully explainable, although mostly. But I mean, in this one they were shattered because they heard things, they maybe a little bit in the hotel, and they felt like there was something in the room, and something watched them while they sleep, which is sleep paralysis. Yeah, that's a good story. My story, which is pretty interesting, I think, was well, my father told me this, that it happened in the family, which was that a relative's child started to act weirdly, and it happened after the neighbor old woman died, and the child started acting weirdly and started doing like it looked like the child couldn't sleep and had to do things exactly in an exact way, like put things there and do all this and do all these things with the door and with everything, and wash the teeth many times and this, and it happened suddenly. It started to like happen, and then it got really strong, and it turned out that these were the habits of the old woman, which the child wasn't really in connection with or anything, but and so they went to this guy who dealt with seeing I'm not exactly sure about the story anymore, but the guy kind of was a guy who could see these souls and ghosts and stuff, and he said that he saw a shadow on the back of the child, and he was not sure if he can help the child, and they went to like other people before that, like psychologists and stuff, and tried to get help from elsewhere, and this was basically the last chance. And then this guy, this ghost seer guy who saw the shadow on the back of the child, said that he doesn't know if he can help, and nothing has helped, and the child was basically crying when he did these habits, and he couldn't go to sleep because he had to do everything before going to sleep, and well, in the end they brought it to this guy, and this guy was basically just for a couple of minutes talking to the child and like doing with this with his head, this, and like just very normally, nothing like, oh, get out of this child and stuff, just talking to him very calmly and doing everything very calmly. And after that the child was okay, and the child didn't do it anymore and could sleep and was acting very normal. And yeah, so that's an interesting story because I believe it happened, like the sources of it is pretty close, and it is one of those stories which I'm like, okay, well, that's pretty weird, and that's not sleep paralysis, and that's not hallucination, and yeah. But then again, who knows? It would definitely be an interesting world if all this was true and all this happened, and I mean, there are very many reliable stories which kind of prove it. The story from the girl in the hotel being not one of them, I would say, but yeah, I mean, we live in an interesting world, that's for sure. And yeah, what do you think? Do you have any ghost stories? I want to believe in them, but it's just hard. But there are stories which are pretty good, as you heard, and yeah. So what do you think?